Okay, yeah, so I'm just bulk doing these intros now because I have to have everything filmed and ready by the end of August because I'm going away for 2 weeks in September and I don't want to be messing around trying to film the intros to these vlogs, so because I want them to be able to go up on time. But this is me continuing my 5-star for every year I've been alive challenge. And the next year that I didn't have a 5-star for was 2001. I do have a few books for that one. The first one that I have for this one is one that was actually on my shelf, and that's Dance Upon the Air by Nora Roberts. I don't really know much about this one. I think it's a bit, this lady runs away from an abusive husband, ends up on an island, and then meets some witches. As far as I know, anyway. But yeah, so that's the one that I own, and then I'm gonna do an audiobook for The Other Boleyn Girl by Philippa Gregory, just so that I have an audiobook on the go. And then I have a couple of other options. I have Ella Minnow P by Mark Dunn, and I have The Air Affair by Jasper Furore. I actually don't know how to pronounce the last name, but yeah, so these are my options for 2001. I'm sure one of these will be a 5-star, and I'll check back in with you guys when it's August, and I've started. Bye!
Hi. So, since I don't have a book to hold up, I'm just gonna talk. I have started this video with the audiobook of The Other Boleyn Girl by Philippa Gregory. I do think this is quite fascinating so far. It's basically about the whole Boleyn family. So obviously we've got Anne Boleyn, but then you've also got Mary Boleyn. And in the book, he actually originally falls in love with Mary Boleyn, not Anne. And it becomes like this whole like rivalry thing. Eventually Mary steps back so that Anne can be with the king. As far as I know, that's what happens. Somehow it ends up being Anne Boleyn. I'm not up to that point in the story yet. But yeah, so Mary and Henrietta VIII have fallen in love. And right now she's his mistress because he's still technically married to Catherine of Aragon. And everyone's happy for her, except for Anne. It's like this whole like sister rivalry thing. But yeah, I think it's quite well done so far, and I'm enjoying it. I don't know if it's going to be a 5-star. We'll see what happens. Bye. Okay, so I have taken a break from The Other Boleyn Girl because I wanted to at least start one of these books that was on my shelf before I keep going on that one. But yeah, I have started the audiobook for Dance Upon the Air by Nora Roberts. And I think I hate it. I don't like it. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of characters. And yeah, I don't think I like it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy the characters and everything like that. But yeah, I don't think I like it. So yeah, this may be a DNF. I'm going to give it a little bit longer. And I will update you one last time with what I decide to do. Bye! Yep, page 80, and I'm done. I don't like this book. The characters in it, I sort of like the characters. Some of them are like really judgmental and annoying, and I don't like that. And the love interest in this is way too pushy about wanting a relationship with this woman he's just met. When she makes it clear
that she's not interested. But yeah, I'm done. I'm done. This one's a DNF. I'm gonna go back to the other Boleyn girl for this video.
Families should not quarrel. There has been an alliance between Spain and England for as long as I can remember. It's all wrong when we are divided. I nodded, and then the door opened. It was not the ambassador with his retinue, bringing gifts and letters and private documents from my nephew. It was the cardinal, the Queen's greatest enemy, and he led the ambassador into her room as a mountebank might lead a dancing bear. The ambassador was captured. He could not speak to the Queen alone. Any secrets he might have carried in his luggage had been ransacked long ago. This was not a man who would bring the king back into alliance with Spain. This was not a man who could bring the Queen back to her true status at court. This was a man all but kidnapped by the cardinal. Her hand, when she gave it to him to kiss, was steady as a rock. Her voice was sweet and perfectly modulated. She greeted the cardinal with pleasant courtesy. No one would ever have known from her behaviour that it was her doom that came in that day, along with the sulky ambassador and the smiling cardinal. She knew at that moment that her friends and her family were powerless to help her. She was horribly, vulnerably, completely alone.
Hi. So yeah, it's the next day. I did finish the book I did finish The Other Boleyn Girl last night, the audio. I just ended up just smashing it out. And I'm pretty sure I'm giving it a 5. Yeah, I didn't want to come back yet. I didn't want to come back last night because I was trying to think of it on the rating. But yeah, this is actually quite just an interesting look at just the lives of the Boleyns, like the rest of the Boleyns and how Anne Boleyn got to where she did. But basically, yeah, Mary Boleyn was the original mistress of King Henry VIII. And yeah, basically she was able to, in the book at least, she was able to give him a son. But even despite that, she was told she had to step back to let Anne be the queen. So yeah, she ends up doing that, and she ends up at the beck and call of her sister, who turns out to be quite like a bratty, bossy queen. And yeah, so she spends they spend most of the book trying to get the marriage from Catherine of Aragon annulled, and they basically force Catherine into exile. Yeah, so after all of that, they end up getting married. And yeah, but yeah, obviously you know where the story goes. He doesn't stay with Anne Boleyn. They have one kid that's a girl. King Henry VIII was fine with that because he thought that she could still have a boy. But yeah, after all that, she ends up not having another kid, and this kind of pisses King Henry off. So he starts spending time with his next wife, who anyone who knows history knows that's Jane Seymour, but he's still technically married to Anne. And yeah, so Mary Boleyn basically, she gets herself away from the family because she marries just a peasant farmer, and then goes off and lives her life on a farm with her husband and kids. Yeah, so at the end of it, she ends up being the only Boleyn still alive, because obviously Anne Boleyn gets her head cut off, and they have a brother, George Boleyn, who also ends up getting executed, because basically, as a way for King Henry to get his marriage from Anne annulled, he accuses her of witchcraft and adultery. So yeah, that's what happens to Anne. But yeah, their brother George ends up in it because they think that he had a relationship with Anne, with Anne Boleyn. So he also ends up getting executed, and basically the rest of the Boleyn family been pushed aside from Henry VIII's family, and they also disinherited or disowned the three Boleyn kids after Anne Boleyn didn't have a son, because that was their one guarantee to the throne, or to keep the throne, was for Anne Boleyn to have a son. That didn't work, so basically they got disowned. So Mary Boleyn ended up completely on her own with just her husband and her children. Yeah, so I thought it was quite a fascinating tale. And yeah, I am giving it 5 stars, which means that this video
is done because I found my 5-star for 2001. I'll catch you guys later. Bye!